Okay, so in this demo, I'm going to show you how to render or export your file as an animation or as a single file. So, as you can see, I've made this little animation, and the box spins, and my camera spins around the box while it spins. Maybe we'll throw a little icosphere in there for strangeness purposes. And then as it spins, you can be more aware that one element of the video is not spinning the sphere. Okay, cool. So here we go. Right now we're looking at it in 3D view, but we're looking at it from the camera view, which you can see over here. Shortcut numpad 0. And that's helpful because then I can see what is actually being exported. And so if I didn't like that position, I could change it by changing the position of my camera. So if you'll see in your windows, there's these little like boxes where you can drag. So don't do that one. We'll do this one. So if I drag those little like lines, it gives me a new window. And so in this window, I'm going to keep this view camera open. Oop, I just undid it. View camera. But over here, I'm going to view back. And so you can see it's pulled me out of that camera view, and I can see my scene. So if I go over here and I move my camera, as you can see, it changes in the camera view over here. I can also move my camera over and back and up. Anyway, all kinds of ways to move the camera. So my camera is spinning because I have it linked to this circle, and I'm going to show you quickly how to do that. I created a circle, create circle over here. Boom. I scaled it up with S. You can move it into whatever position you like. I then animated the circle to rotate. So I put my playhead at the beginning. I went over into my transform window here. I set a keyframe pressing I. That's I on the keyboard to set a keyframe. And then I dragged my playhead out, and you can see this full animation goes all the way to 300 frames. I changed the Z to 360, as in make a complete circle. I pressed I to set another keyframe because I don't have automatic keyframing set on. And then now you can see that my orange circle over here is spinning. And then I just clicked the camera and then the circle. The order is important. Control P, set parent to object. And then that will basically parent the camera to the circle. So when the circle spins, the camera spins. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this other circle that we don't need. So that's a fun, good thing to know. So now that we feel pleased with what our camera is capturing here, if you wanted to do a still image, you want to make sure that the camera is set to the frame that you want to export. You want to check and see what frame that is. So let's first export a still, and we want it to be 75. So we want to start at frame 75 and end at frame 75. This is over here resolution. This is where you control the size. So if I say 100%, it will actually create an image that's these dimensions. Otherwise, it will create one that's a percentage of those dimensions. What else? This is your frame rate. Most other things on here, you're going to go ahead and keep checked. I've unchecked ray tracing. I'm going to include a document that will show you some options for controlling the size of your render if you're finding that it's taking a really long time. But for this sort of simple render, we don't really need to worry about this stuff. So we're going to go on down to the output menu here. You're going to go ahead and make sure you know where it's going. So we're going to do test still. and it's on my desktop. And then I'm going to go in here, and right here where it says AVI JPEG, I don't know what it says for you, but this is where you change the file format. So you can pick what you want. It could be a JPEG, a PNG, etc. I'm going to do a JPEG for now. The quality, we do 100%. And then I'm going to go ahead and, counterintuitive, but I'm actually going to click animation. And it will now, and it's already done it, render my scene. And if I go to my desktop, you'll see that it's created one still, here it is, one still image based on our scene. Great. So let's say that we now want to render our animation. And so one thing, right now it's at start frame and end frame 71. So I'm going to start frame 1. You can see that changes on our timeline here. And I'm going to say I want it to end at frame 75 or whatever. And then I'm going to go down here, and the file format that I like is AVI JPEG. It's currently 100%. I might bring file size down here by about 75%, and then hit and I'm going to change this file name from test still to test AVI JPEG. Okay, and then again you're going to hit animation, and you can see this takes a little bit longer. If you go up here, this is sort of the time remaining, time elapsed per frame. So 100% means it's completed one frame of the file. And you can sort of watch that happening in here. We're doing 24 frames per second. You can also see down here that the playhead moves along the timeline as it's rendering. So it might take a minute. Great, so it's done. You'll usually hear a little noise. And now, if I go back over to my desktop where I've been exporting to, you can see that I now have this very brief little animation. And if you wanted to, you could create a GIF out of this, a looping GIF in Photoshop. You could bring it into Premiere and create a looping video file, etc. So